I believe we are now in a bull market. Since the record low point of the last market, the market has grown 4 times as big. We've gone from 15,000 to 400,000. So where can we go from here to the new high? Going up 20 times from the low point, that's what I think we could do. It's possible in this market, right? It seems like a fair thing to do. We're already up 4x. Let's say this phase has 5x left to go. That could be more. There aren't any clear rules. Fred Krueger is a famous crypto analyst, Bitcoin maximalist, and strong supporter of the Bitcoin power law. This is a theory that mathematically explains Bitcoin's past price trends and shows a strong link between time and price. Fred, a mathematician with a PhD from Stanford University, thinks that the Bitcoin power law model is the best way to look at Bitcoin's price past, how it has been used, and how it will change in the future. His view on Bitcoin is very optimistic. He thinks it will hit an amazing $250,000 to $350,000 or even $1 million in a bull case before the bull market ends in 2025. Fred is so sure of Bitcoin and the ongoing bull market that he is offering $100,000 worth of Satoshis to anyone who bets that the top cryptocurrency won't reach $70,000 before the November election for President of the United States. It says in his tweet, $70,000 before the election is taking place. If you don't believe it, send $100,000 in sats to Beagle Bitcoin. They will keep the bet safe. That's what I'll do. Fred thinks that the fourth quarter of 2024 will be very exciting for Bitcoin. He shares a chart on Twitter that shows September 2024 was the best September ever for Bitcoin. He also says that things will get even more hot after the elections in November. The title of his post is Bitcoin is having its best September ever. It was planned for this month to be bad. MicroStrategy will continue to buy a lot of Bitcoin since it trades at 2x Bitcoin. In Q4 after the election and as soon as we get advisor approval, ETFs will be buying like crazy rats. The fourth quarter will go down in history. In a recent interview with the Rally Bitcoin show, Fred talked about why he thinks the Bitcoin power law model is better and how he feels about Bitcoin and the current bull market. Let us show you parts of the conversation. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and set your alerts to receive more videos like this. For the channel's growth, everything you do is very helpful for the YouTube system. Thanks. Have fun with the movie. This power rule is where I would start. Okay. Which is the idea that everyone got wrong? It became popular in 2019 and 2020, and it was the stop to flow plan, right? Look closely at the stop to flow model. I like it and I could talk about it for a long time, but it's mostly wrong. Okay. The math and the stop to flow approach are also very bad, but there is a model that is pretty much foolproof, and that model is the power law model. The power law model says very simply, let's plot the price of Bitcoin in log terms, okay? Also, let's look at it in terms of the time since the Genesis block, which is written in log terms. It's both of those directions need to be log terms. Now, if you do that, you'll see that it's pretty much moving around a straight line. You can see that the fit is 90% and the R squared is 97% if you do a regression to that straight line. Okay. The first sign that this might be something really cool is that the R squared value is 97%, which means it's not an accident. This has been going on since Bitcoin was worth 10 cents and has continued until it was worth $73,000. Okay. That's right, 6 times the rate of growth, right? It goes from 10 cents to $73,000, which is almost $100,000. Okay, still, the logarithms follow this straight line with a 97% agreement. Okay, that kind of relationship in finance has a 97% correlation, which is over 6 orders of magnitude. If you told me that, I would say you got the holy grail. Okay. The first thing that makes me sure is that I believe in this power law. I do believe that this is, in a way, how the price of Bitcoin is changed over time. Besides that, we can also talk about why this is happening. The reason for this is that people are using Bitcoin more and more, which makes sense, right? It's getting bigger like a power law. So the most important question about a power rule is the power right? So how fast is this growing? And it's growing at a rate of about t to the power 6. Okay, time isn't moving at the square of time, then it's not getting bigger at the speed of time. To the 6th power of time, it's getting bigger. Okay, that's pretty much how fast Bitcoin is. So you have this crazy growth that's almost exponential, right? That's not quite exponential, but it's almost very fast. Right now, a good way to think about it is that Bitcoin is growing at a rate of 40% per year. That looks like the Bitcoin trend line. Now, there's a lot of instability around this, right? It also doesn't make much sense when you look at it in a normal area, yeah? It's like, okay, that went up a lot in 2017. It went down. In 2020, it went up a great deal. It went down. Okay, it's back now. Okay, what does this mean to you? It looks like this is a completely random event, right? If you look at it in log terms, though, you can see that none of those match up very well, right? A pattern that's very clear. Besides that, you can also guess how volatile the area around this pattern is, right? In logarithmic words, this means that the volatility is about 0.3. That means you can go up by 10 to the power of 0.3, which is twice as much, or down by 10 to the power of 0.3, which is half as much. Based on what Fred said, based on the power law model, Bitcoin is worth what it's worth now. It has an equal chance of going up to $125,000 in the next year or going back down to $30,000. But that doesn't take trendline growth into account. So Fred thinks that Bitcoin will cost anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000, with $100,000 being the average by the end of the year. He says the same thing about the end of the year in another post on social media site X, which says Q4 is going to be epic. Number one, the election is over. Number two, Trump might be in charge, but see number one anyway. Third, the rate will go down by 50 basis points on November 8th. 4. China has started to loosen its money controls. 5. The FT exports are open. 6. Advisors and wirehouses, a lot more ETFs are on board. 7. More people who switch to micro strategies and buy Bitcoin smash. Honestly, I think 100,000 by the end of the year might be too low. Fred says in the interview that Bitcoin has moved 20 to 30 times from its previous lows during earlier bull markets. He thinks the same thing will happen in 2025. Here are some more film clips. I guess you could say that Bitcoin is about where it should be right now. And I would say that the odds are about the same that Bitcoin will go up to say 125,000 in a year or go back down to 30,000. That's what it would be like without the trend line progress. Based on the growth line, you should reach about 100,000 by the end of this year. If I had to guess, I'd say between 50,000 and 200,000, with 100,000 being the average for the end of the year. That should really make you feel good about investing in Bitcoin right now. We also have the CTF now though, right? We're also likely to go above this on the upside because of the ETF. We are now in the fourth bull market for Bitcoin through this ETF. I think ETFs are the main thing that's driving the fourth bull market. Now that Bitcoin was almost at 25,000, I think the ETF's promise began to show. I believe we are now in that bull market. Since the record low point of the last market has grown 4 times as big. We've gone from 15,000 to 400,000.